Hello, everybody. I'm Hayley.
And I'm Kim.
And this is
the Able Voice Debrief. Welcome to another episode of Able Voice Podcast Debrief Series. Today we're talking about the episode with Bonnie Houpt-Sinniard and a little bit more about our thoughts on it. So Hayley, what were some of your main takeaways, your things that really resonated with you from this episode with Bonnie?
There were so many things. I think there were four main takeaways that I got from this. And the first one was the misconception for music therapists that there aren't jobs available for us.
Yeah.
And that's so untrue. There are so many jobs out there. We, as I said in the episode, might just need to fight a little harder, advocate a little harder for ourselves. And, even network in some cases to get ourselves into places. But there are jobs available for us, and that shouldn't be a barrier to somebody wanting to apply for music therapy in higher education. So that was one thing that really stood out for me. The next thing was that once we get into that place where we're practicing music therapists, it's important that, we're able to identify and name what burnout is.
Yeah.
Put a name, put a label to it so that we can work through it, because that's so important. And when we do that, we're not alone in that feeling. That there are so many other music therapists, but not only music therapists, professionals in the world who entered their professional lives and go through this journey of burnout. And so that was important for us, I think, to have that conversation with Bonnie. She really opened up and was vulnerable about the different stages and what it looked like and what she used to help get through that period of time. And you and I have had several conversations about what that looks like and how it can take many shapes and many forms. And I think that's important for us to talk about as a community, so that it's not so taboo and so that people don't feel alone, which is what the next thing that stood out was. Really, community is important. And we have a whole episode on the Able Voice podcast about community and feeling isolated. And that's really, it's really special in this digital age that we're able to connect with people that are beyond our community and expand that network of support that we have. It's really special. And the fourth thing is that not every job that you have is the best fit for you, and that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. Definitely. A lot of what resonated with me obviously is in line with what you had just mentioned as well. That last piece, I think, is one of the biggest takeaways for me. Is like overall Bonnie's journey really just highlighted the individuality of our journeys and figuring out what is right for us and what jives with us in that moment. And so sometimes the first job that you take just isn't what you need long term. Maybe it's what you needed in that moment. Maybe you just didn't know, and I think that's a huge piece as well. From my experience in my studies, I was taught about the clinical side of things and everything that we need to do to be effective and ethical therapists, which obviously is extremely important. But I wasn't privy to any of the business discussions, or what do we actually do with this? What does it look like when we go out into the field? So I thought that was really important, and making sure that we're doing our homework in terms of, okay, what is it that we value? What is it that works for us? Is it private practice? Is it working for a company? What do we need? And being diligent about that. but also being kind of open to the journey and knowing that like we won't have all the answers right at the beginning, and it's very much growing and learning what our preferences are. And so I think that was something that was really key to where Bonnie is right now in terms of how she almost kind of fell into her current business because of XYZ that had led her there. So yeah, I think just being really open to that journey.
Yeah. And being open to that based on what you're most passionate about and what your values are, as Bonnie said, being in alignment with what you hope for in the future in terms of your professional development and professional life. It's really special when you do find that niche, that pocket where you really thrive, because to not find that would be incredibly awful for you in your life. And I think of barriers to that, such as that misconception that I was mentioning at the start, that in creative fields you won't make as much money, and that is often so much of a barrier, and in some instances that is true. But it all comes down to you and what your goals are. And if your goal is to be profitable, if your goal is to exceed that and be financially free, you can absolutely do that in whatever career path you choose. You just have to have the motivation, drive, and mentorship, as Bonnie mentioned as well, in order to get yourself to that place.
Yeah. I feel like it's more on the person than it is on the field. And like you had said, Hayley, both today and in the episode, sometimes maybe we need to advocate a little bit more or work a bit harder to get it. But if you are driven and determined to do that, you'll make it happen.
Yeah. You'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Make it rain.
Yikes. Yeah. I think I really enjoyed Bonnie's hopes that she had said for the future. I jotted down the first few words of resilient, flexible, and self-reflective, hoping that we can move forward being resilient, flexible, and self-reflective. And I think that's so important. And I just really resonate with that. And I think that this is a great time to be able to explore those and to explore, okay, what's our resilience, and okay, how does that tap into any burnout that I might be feeling? How do I find my resilience? What do I need to be resilient? How can I keep that flexibility mindset, which I think as music therapists, we already have a base of that flexibility in our practice. But how does that apply now? And just being self-reflective, because that's how we're going to find out what those values are or what those things are that we need to create our ideal life and journeys and paths.
Yeah. And what a time, like you said, to be self-reflective.
Right.
We either have no time at all because we're working more than we should be, and we're heading toward burnout, or we're not working as much as we used to be, and so we have so much time. Either way, both good opportunities to sit and reflect. And one thing that I've really have been reflecting on over the past little while is how do we make our platforms more accessible, which is something that Bonnie is super passionate about. And when I think of the word accessibility, often I keep coming back to this word of adaptability that we are so privy to as music therapists. We do create adaptive opportunities for our clients. And this just translates into everything that we do, into our social media platforms, into the content that we put out into the world, in online sessions. All of these things we have to think about that kind of accessibility feature, that adaptability feature that Bonnie has so many resources on. And so we included those in the description below in the show notes. And we encourage you to go and check out some of those, some ways to make your platforms more accessible for people in your communities that may not have the same set of human being skills as you, as we talked about in the last episode. I love how everything kind of comes full circle.
The circle of life. Definitely check out those resources. And also, we love this community. And so if there are things that you have in your toolkit that help to make your platforms more accessible, little tricks or tools that you've picked up on the way, please share them with us too, so that we can share them with the rest of the network. Because I think we're all constantly learning and adapting.
Yeah, it's so fun. Leave your comments about this episode. We want to chat with you.
Mm-hmm.
We want to chat with you. This is why this debrief series exists. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know your takeaways. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Yeah.